Hello and welcome back to my channel, guys. So when I decided to split Vengeance and Redemption into multiple books focusing on the different point of view characters, and I decided to first work on the book about the magic girl, I knew that the first thing I had to do was to go and read the most iconic book of magic of all time, which is Harry Potter, so that I understand the level and the bar I have to strive to achieve. So in this video, I wanted to talk about 25 different ways Harry Potter influenced and inspired me or gave me ideas for things I wrote in Barbara Occult and the Breath of Life. If you haven't read this book, obviously you can go and read it on my website, tuva.com, along with all the new entries. A new entry, that's entry 9 of The Orphan Hunt, which is the latest chapter I'm working on right now, was dropped on the website today. So the number one is prose, which is actual writing. And that's when I started writing Barbara Occult, I was an amateur, I was a novice, I didn't really know how to how to turn my thoughts into words that someone can read and think or get the same imagery and the same scene that is going on in my head, you understand? So what I used to do back then, or the thing is, when I read Harry Potter for the first time and I was vividly seeing the things she was writing as if I was watching a movie in my mind, I knew that okay, this is a kind of a level that people can achieve, but I'm nowhere close to that level. So what I used to do is when I think of a scene, I'll go to Harry Potter and find a similar scene in the book. Then I'll take that similar scene. What I used to do back then was I'll copy and paste it to the file I was working on Barbara Occult on. If I copy and paste it, then I'll now try finding a way to reverse engineer or to restructure it to fit my own. Either maybe I'll change a few names or I'll you know what restructuring is now. So I did that thing for the first 6 months. That was how I got through chapter 1, because I wrote chapter 1 in 6 months. That's how I got through chapter 1. And that was because I was someone who I did not know how to write well, but I couldn't leave a paragraph or a line or a scene if I didn't feel that that scene was completely perfect. That's because what used to give me motivation for writing another scene was if I read this, that's anytime I open my document, I have to first read everything I written, because it kind of like that joy of, oh, I wrote this thing, and it fits how the scene is in my mind. That joy is what used to motivate me to continue or to tackle the task of writing the next paragraph or the next scene. Understand? So I did that thing for the first 6 months, and it was after I finished chapter 1 and a bit of chapter 2, then that's doing this over and over. Eventually I started getting my own, like written my own style, so sometimes if there is a scene, I won't, like unconsciously I just start writing it without needing to go and look for a scene that is similar in a reporter to copy, you understand? And that's how I formed my own, or I got confident in writing my own, that's pointing things from my mind straight onto the page without looking for that's a similar scene in Harry Potter or in another similar book. So number 2 is the statute of secrecy. So obviously this is part of the plot and is an important aspect of the plot of Barbara Occult, that the magical community is secret from the mere men side of things. And even the main plot of chapter 2 is that because of the magic Semra did in chapter 1 in the sectors, which is a merman populated area, she has to go and answer for her crime, which is breaking the statute of secrecy using magic where mermen are, you understand? So it's a very important plot, and it's going to continue being important throughout this book 1 and in book 2 and in book 3. I think right now book 2 right now I'm plotting is titled Barbara Occult and the Statute of Secrecy. So this is like one of the most foundational and important things in Barbara Occult, and the idea was from basically the same statute of secrecy in Harry Potter. So number 3 is one magic. And so when I started, that's when I first started writing Barbara Occult, that's when her name was still Barbara Smith. It was obviously going to be about magic. That's what I was still watching back then, was the name Marvel and things like DC, John Constantine, Doctor Strange, and you know that their magic is more about like magic circles and all these inscriptions that will be appearing on the air. It wasn't one. It was when I read the reporter that I decided that something that can make Barbara Occult specialist if she's the only one among everyone who can use magic without a wand. while everyone else is using the wand, just like in Harry Potter. You get, that's when I now started. I got this thing from Harry Potter. So number 4, the Claritinum charm. That's that charm in, because in chapter 1 we learned that Barbara Occult is in the orphanage because her mother placed her under a spell that is keeping her hidden from the magical community and every other community apart from the merman community. You get, and this idea came from, there are two things in Harry Potter the idea came from. One, in Harry Potter there is a Fidelius charm, and this is, I think, a charm that both Harry Potter parents put their home under, that Peter Pettigrew betrayed them because he was their secret keeper. Because only the secret keeper can tell someone else, Voldemort for instance, where to find the home. If the secret keeper don't tell you, you can be in their home and you won't see the home. I think in book 7, that's the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Yes, I think one of the Weasleys still put his home under Fidelius charm. And the Fidelius charm was always around. It was when I was rereading Harry Potter book 1 that I started noticing there are scenes where Harry Potter hadn't yet been introduced to the wizarding world. He hadn't yet been visited by Hagrid. You get, and I think there are times where Harry Potter described that there are times that strange people met him on the road and greeted him. And later on, like in book 4, we find out that some of those people we were talking about were wizards. I think Diggory's father was among them and things like that. And so I started wondering that if truly different wizards could visit Harry Potter randomly on the road and talk to him and greet him, what if some of Voldemort's supporters who are still loyal to Voldemort visited on Harry Potter on a random day and killed Harry Potter? You understand? And so in my mind I started thinking that maybe this is either a plot hole or an oversight or something. And to fix it, in my mind I was like, it would have been better if J.K. Rowling wrote that Harry Potter was under this Fidelius charm, and that's why nobody in the this thing wizarding world could see him or interact with him. You get, it was now when I started thinking about that and I decided to use it for Barbara Occult. That's why I now ran into the issue of, okay, since I'm using it, I had to find the reason for it to break. Since me, I did not have any secret keeper to use. You understand? Because I feel like if there was a secret keeper, I did not want to use a secret keeper because I felt like if there was a secret keeper, there would actually been a way to torture the person. So that's why I did not use secret keeper. So I had to find a different mechanism for a spell to break, and that's why I got the idea of the whole your property. You can only use it on your property thing and on yourself and your daughter, your children. Since your children can't make their own decisions, since they are children, you can place it on them until they become adults and will not become invalid and things like that. So number 5 is, that's the Swamp, the prodigious school of wonders and magic. And obviously the whole idea of anything in school came from Hogwarts, obviously. Then the next thing is number 6 is, that's us having a smart main character. That's, you know, when Samra was talking to Mrs. Smith about, so when Mrs. Smith was talking to Samra about Barbara Occult, and Mrs. Smith described that Barbara is very exceptionally smart and she has an exceptional memory. And I think even in chapter 3 we'll see, I think in chapter 2 we saw it when an example of Barbara having like a photographic memory where things she has only seen once, she was able to tell things like what that sorcerer was, his rank, because she, even though she only saw him for a fraction of a second, she still remembered his appearance and she remembered his badge. Then in chapter 3, where to find them, we saw how smart she was when she came up with a plan to defeat or to get the hooded man to release Blessing. Yet, and so the reason of me making it that Barbara Occult was going to be smart, because I think usually most main characters, even in anime, most main characters are usually the dumb one, then the side character or someone to be smart. The reason I decided to make Barbara smart was that I think in every single Harry Potter book there is always a mystery that we have to solve, or Harry, Hermione, Ron have to solve a mystery of some kind. In book 1 it was Nicholas Flamel, I think. Book 2 was something about the diary and who gave Ginny the diary or something like that. I think in one of the books it was Peter Pettigrew and things like that. And usually when the mystery was always very nice, you get. But in book 6, I think it was Half-Blood Prince, there was this mystery about what Malfoy is doing in secret, and them trying to look for where he used to go in secret, because he always used to disappear. And that was the whole this. I think at the end it was we later found out that that's Malfoy used to go into the room of requirement to fix a portal or something that allowed the Death Eaters to come into Hogwarts. But the thing that Harry kept on looking for where Malfoy was going and what he was doing throughout the entire book. And we are giving hints like Malfoy always used to disappear when he's in the fifth floor or the third floor. You get. And when I was reading the thing, from the beginning when I started reading, I was like, this thing is obviously going to. When I saw the hint of in the this thing, in the third floor or the fifth floor, I knew that. I remember I think it was in just book 5, the last book, Order of the Phoenix, where Harry still needed the room of requirement and he was still on this same floor. You get. And I was like, obviously this is going to be the room of requirement. Yet for some reason Harry and even Hermione didn't think of it. Then there was another time where Harry was just thinking with, I think they were in the clinic and Harry was like, oh, I've gotten an idea. I was like, okay, he has finally seen this obvious thing. It's like he now summoned Dobby and told Dobby to go and search for where to, I think to spy on Malfoy, to see where Malfoy is going. And I'm like, what's this guy doing? The first time you ever found the room of requirement was when you told Dobby to look for it for you. And yet you still called Dobby to look for Malfoy for you. And why Dobby should, like, just seeing Dobby should, like, keep the thing into your memory. At the same time, Malfoy is going into this room of requirement on the third floor at this particular place. And I tell me you can't remember, you get. And the thing just made me angry. Then when if I realized was when it was too late. So in my mind I was like, I'm going to write a main, because I don't like this kind of thing where there's something obvious that somebody in this thing should realize or see or to remember, but you won't remember it just so that the plot can plot. So like, if I'm going to write a book about a main character, about someone, this person is going to, if there's anything that she's supposed to remember, the character is going to remember it. And that's why I decided that, okay, but because it's going to be someone who has a photographic memory. So number 7, okay, number 7 is focus on the side character, that's on the antagonist or this, and that's the second main character, that kind of thing. And that's my second main character is Blessing, although I think Khan and Margaret are equal somehow, but my second main character is Blessing. And just so far, based on what we have done in just chapter 3 where Bless was introduced, I think she got a lot of character development and she will keep on getting more and more character development going forward. The reason I decided to focus on her is because I think there was a time when I was just reading Wikipedia and it says something about how Hermione was ranked second of all female characters or something. I was like, what has on this earth has Hermione done to be ranked second? Because I couldn't think of anything Hermione have done to be ranked in top 20 self of best written female characters of all time. All I can think of is Hermione is someone who used to help Harry do things. She doesn't have her own like character development. She doesn't have her own struggle. She doesn't have her own goals she's trying to achieve. You understand? And I like she's like a nothing character that is just there to either give Harry information or to help Harry train. I've never seen anything else that she's good for. And that's why I said that okay, I'm going to write a side character that is going to have her own goal, her own aims that is also affecting the plot and things like that. Number 8, because I think when what's her name, Mrs. Smith was talking to Semra, she told Semra about how she woke up in the morning and she found Barbara on the front door of the orphanage, and that leaving Barbara Occult on the front door of the orphanage obviously came from Dumbledore leaving Harry at the front door of the Dursleys. Number 9 is Actopectonum. That's that spell that Semra used to prove to Barbara that she is a magician. That's when she poured water on the ground and made the water take the shapes of many water horses, a head of horses. So that one, I think I've said it before, that it came from Expecto Patronum. Then number 10, Barbara being a bit shy, reserved, and interesting. And this one came from another critique I had of Harry Potter, was that Harry Potter is a child that grew up in a home where everybody in that home hated him. Then in school, where he used to go to school, he doesn't have everybody at home hates him and used to bully him and don't used to talk to him. Then nobody in the street, he doesn't have any friend in his streets we know about. Even when he used to go on holiday, we have never heard about any friends he has in the street. Then when he goes to school, that before Hogwarts, when he goes to school, we're told that nobody used to talk to him out of fear of Dudley. You get? So this one that usually no one used to talk to. Every people that at home, people used to bully him outside. No one used to talk to him because of people at home. You get? Then the first ever time Harry goes to school, that's when he's on the Hogwarts train. He sees Malfoy. Immediately, him and Malfoy become friends, and obviously, sorry, I say Malfoy, Ron. And Ron is my favorite character, so I like it. It's just when I think about it, the way he was open to Ron from the beginning. Him and Ron was talking about things, his home and all these kind of things. When I think about it, I'll be like, isn't it strange how Harry, this character that is from this kind of background, is so open and so friendly and things like that. You get? I don't know, in my mind, it was just sort of like almost a contradiction. I don't know if it's this, but that's how I felt it is. So I decided that, okay, since Barbara Occult is coming from a kind of similar background, she's going to be shy, reserved, untrusting, and things like that. Then number 11, okay, the chapter 1 plus structure, and that's when Semra appears in this thing. Semra appears in the in the alley. She walks to the orphanage. She talks to the orphanage matron about Barbara. Then the orphanage matron takes her to see Barbara before she now leave. And that structure, I think I said before that structure came from the memory that Dumbledore showed Harry. I think it was either in book 4 or in book 6 about Voldemort when he went to Wool's cottage or Wool's orphanage to speak to the matron, and the matron took him to meet Voldemort. That's when he did that spell to make Voldemort wardrobe catch fire. That's the structure I followed, because when I was still writing this chapter, I think I copied that entire, I think it was 2 pages. I copied the 2 pages and put the entire structure when the woman drank coffee or whatever it was that Dumbledore gave her. I made my own decision till eventually I ran out of and it was only 2 pages. And my own turned out to be like, I think 10 or so pages. So I had to start improvising. But the entire structure was from that memory. Number 12. Okay, yes, Barbara living with Semra that same night. You know, the chapter 1 ends with Barbara living with Semra to go to this thing. And it's almost like permanent. She's leaving to start school and she's not coming back to maybe end of school or end of the year. And normally, what I was planning to do was to follow that Harry Potter structure of when Harry Potter first met Dobby and Dobby explained everything to him. The next morning, I said Dobby, what's his name? Hagrid. The next morning, Hagrid now took him to go and buy his things for school and everything. So after that, buying everything Harry would need for school, Hagrid now brought him back home. Harry now stayed on for the rest of the holiday before school now came. He now went to platform 9 3/4 to go to school. And that was what I wanted to do, that kind of Semra will come, talk to Barbara. She'll not take Barbara to go and buy things to prepare her for school. She'll not drop her back at the orphanage. Then when school time reaches, she'll now go to school. But when I wrote up to the part that Semra will take them to this thing. I think I wrote the entire scene of them going to the magical community, buying things Barbara will need for school and all those things like that. But when I now brought Barbara back to the orphanage, I didn't know what I would write throughout the duration of her in the orphanage or this thing. You get? I didn't know what she'll be doing. I didn't want to start thinking of new characters to form for this orphanage, because I knew that no matter the new character I form, all of them will be meaningless because they will not matter in the plot of the book. You get? So I didn't want to start forming new characters that should interact with in the orphanage. So I thought about doing a time skip for when the day have already come when she go to school. And I realized that what's the point of doing a time skip if I can just make it that she left with Semra that same night, and that's how I did it. Number 13. Okay, Semra's pouch. That's that pouch that she brings out everything from, increasing that photo album that she brought out that was bigger than the entire pouch. That one is obviously from, I think, it's normal in Harry Potter where there are things that, whether it is the Weasley's car that is, the car looks small from outside, but inside it's big enough to contain all of them, or one pouch that Hermione also had that in book 7. You get? That's where I got the idea from. Okay, Sadagrass. Now, Sadagrass is basically, my inspiration for Sadagrass was Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts. You get? Grindelwald and Silco in Arcane. Although obviously you also had this thing, Voldemort, because the idea of the original idea of Voldemort wanted Harry Potter for some reason that we did not know yet, and later we'll find out the reason. And you understand that kind of thing. It's also what Sadagras did. You get, so obviously I have to also have Voldemort, even though when I was thinking about Sadagras, it was only Grindelwald and Silco I was thinking about. And this, just Grindelwald and Silco, sha. Number 15. Okay, Semra not telling Barbara Occult the truth. That's, when Semra is telling Barbara Occult everything about her backstory, her past, then she gets to the part about Barbara's father and why her father had not yet come to get her, and why Sadagras wants her. And Semra will tell her clearly that, look, I'm not going to tell you about all these things until I think you're ready. And my reason for doing that thing was that in, I think it was in, what's the name? Order of the Phoenix, where Dumbledore stopped talking to Harry Potter. And because Dumbledore stopped talking to Harry Potter started feeling lonely and started, I don't know, it was made him make a lot of mistakes, you understand? And when I was reading that book, I was like, a lot of all these things that happen, including serious death, wouldn't have happened if Dumbledore had just told this boy that, Harry, look, the reason I cannot talk to you this year or I cannot share any secrets with you is because I believe that Voldemort is spying through your mind. If you had just told Harry that thing, Harry would, okay, Voldemort is spying through my mind. Alright, this is why Dumbledore. You understand? And he will know to trust different things. He won't make those mistakes he made. You understand? That's why I decided that, okay, the same thing is just this whole smart character thing where Harry is not seeing things that he should be seeing or remembering things that he should be remembering. And I don't like, that's why I don't like when in a book or in a movie, something that a character should obviously tell another character, you won't tell the character just so that the plot will happen. I don't like that kind of thing. That's why I made it that the scene Semra does not want Barbara Occult to know this thing. Instead of maybe, that whole plot line of eventually like Tia in Arrow now where you start saying you lied to me, you not tell me the truth. I'll make it clear that, look, there are certain things that you should know, but I cannot tell you these things now because I don't feel that either you are mature enough or you are not ready to handle them until you understand. So from the get-go, Barbara will know, and in the future when she finds out about all those things, she won't start mistrusting Semra and start creating plot rubbish that I don't have time for. Number 16 is the letter that Semra gave Barbara about, that's her admission letter. Obviously that one is from Hogwarts admission letter. Number 17 is, okay, Semra being a woman. Originally Semra was supposed to be a man because at the beginning of Harry Potter, it was Dumbledore that came to get Harry. I think Dumbledore came to give Harry to the Dursley to get when he appeared in Private Drive. And it was that scene that I was like using as my blueprint, and I made Semra also appear in that alley. So Dumbledore appeared in Private Drive, you understand? And he was supposed to be a man. Like if I remember, it's supposed to be like a somewhat like portly fat man. Yeah, not very fat, but all this kind of hard pot belly, somehow like not too tall, maybe 5'7", 5", that kind of, with a boiler hat. Yeah, that was a man. But when I started thinking about it in my mind, I just decided that I don't care the kind of magic you are going to use. I don't think that any mother or anybody who considers herself a mother is going to allow you carry any of her girls. A man take go away with any of her girls in the middle of the night. You understand? So I said, okay, let me just make it a woman. Because it's going to make more sense for a woman to go to if all girls orphanage in the middle of the night to take a girl than for a man. Is somehow, obviously it's not like there will be anything bad that I'm planning to happen. It's just somehow, even me as a father, I don't like, you will not allow a man to come and carry your daughter in the middle of the night, like somehow. That's why I decided that, okay, somehow I'll be a woman. And still my plan wasn't even for her to be a main character or Barbara's mentor figure or mother figure going forward. It was just, she's now going to be a woman who will carry Barbara and go to give her to the main person who will like be her guardian, which was going to be a magician named Weasley, which I later used for the Grand Council, you get. But when you've already written something, I don't have energy to start introducing a new mentor figure, that kind of thing. So I just let her at Semra. Then number 18. Okay, Semra summoned to answer for her crimes, which was the whole plot of chapter 2. And I think I already said that, what's the name? The whole Statutes of Secrecy thing was inspired by Harry Potter. So this whole Semra summoned to answer for her crime of performing magic in the presence of Mirren is also from Harry. That's in Order of the Phoenix, where he was also summoned to answer for his crime of using expecto patron in the presence of Dudley, I think. So number 19, okay. 19 is the way the magical community is hidden, which is kind of in, my book is set in like a world after like World War 4, World War 5, where the whole world is ruined except for certain sectors. I think there are 9 or 12 sectors. I haven't decided. I'll decide when I'm finished writing after. But then the rest of the world is ruined. You understand? It's full of ruins because there was a nuclear war, that kind of thing. So the magical community is basically like in one of those ruined cities. Magicians settled and built their settlement and things like their city. So if you go to the magical community, you will now see that what you'll be seeing is that ruined city that was around before the magician settled there. Before, that's what Barbara was seeing the first time, and now like cleared the charm from her eye, and she now saw the real magical community. And originally, I was going to kind of do what a reporter does, where the wizarding world exists together with the normal muggle side of things. Just that, let's say there might be a war now in the middle of a muggle street, and magicians will just come and enter inside that war. And for me, I was like thinking that, especially since I'm not setting it in the kind of the past, like 1990s, that reporter was setting, there will always be someone around with a camera. And when someone snaps something or video something, the whole wizarding world is like exposed. You get, that's why I decided to make it that they are entirely different in an entirely different city. Number 20, the Hall of Magic. Obviously, not the Hall of Magic. The whole design of the Hall of Magic and everything was from Clash of Clans. That's Town 11 in Clash of Clans. But like just me having a Hall of Magic came from obviously the Ministry of Magic. Number 21 is Warlocks. Obviously, me wanting to have Warlocks, I will be like the police force of the magical community, came from auras in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. 22, the Burning Tree. And the Burning Tree was from the Burning Tree in the Bible. I also wrote the whole inscription that I think God told Moses in the Bible. But me choosing to have something, I don't know if I'll say magnificent in the Hall of Magic or something beautiful in the Hall of Magic, I'll catch the reader's eye, that kind of thing, was from, I think when Harry went to the Ministry of Magic and he saw that fountain with a golden statue of a witch, a wizard, a centaur, and I think a dwarf or a goblin, I don't know, that kind of thing. When I read that, I said, okay, I also have to have something magnificent like this that will draw attention. And obviously, since I cannot copy the fountain with golden statues, and I say, okay, then something that might be more iconic is going to be a burning tree. And that's why now Clash of Clans, I first got the idea of like a tree of gold, which was one of the obstacles in Clash of Clans around that time. But now later say, okay, instead of gold, let it be that all the leaves of fire, the burning tree. Then, okay, number 23 is the Daily Spells newspaper. And that Daily Spells, I think when Barbara Occult was climbing up the stairs in the Hall of Magic, she met some people who were reading a newspaper titled The Daily Spells. And I think in book 2, or later on, we'll see like Blessing's stepmother is also one of the writers of in that Daily Spells publication. And I think that Daily Spell I got it from the Daily Prophet in Harry Potter. The Council of Magic, obviously from Ministry of Magic, and the trial scene was also, I think I based this after the trial scene Harry had in book 5. Number 25 is the Whitleys. That's what's her name? Okay. Yes, Margaret and her family that Barbara met in the Council of Magic chamber during their father's trial. Now they were supposed to be my own Weasley. That's from Weasley, his family. You get. Like Barbara was supposed to have her own, like the same way Harry had his another family, he had this like Weasleys who treated him like a family. That's who I wanted them to be for Barbara. It just later on when I started like thinking about the whole plot and this, and I said, okay, let me give them more, let them make them important. That's why I brought the whole missing picture of their parents' marriage. And now I think there was also something I wanted to do about magic, like one of the reasons, consequence of, because wand is relatively new in the history of magicians, and one of the consequences of them not having wand and wandless magic was that like magician couldn't live long, and at the same time they couldn't give birth to many children. You get, and that's why I decided that okay, their family will cut them down from like there were supposed to be like 7 children to 3, and at the same time like I don't have energy to write. I'm not good at writing multiple characters. So I decided to cut them down from 7 to 3. That's the children. Then number 26, the Wizarders One Shop, obviously from Ollivander's One Shop in book 1, Philosopher's Stone. Okay, Blessing. That's Blessing. That's why I created the character Blessing, because originally that's the relationship between Barbara and Semra. I got was supposed to be like the relationship between this girl Betamon, that's in the Queen's Gambit book, if you have read the book, or even the Netflix series. So supposed to be like Betamon and her adoptive or adopted mother, Mrs. Whitley. You get that's. But later on, I decided to give Barbara a daughter because I wanted like give Semra a daughter because I wanted Barbara to have her own like Malfoy, her own rival. So you get, not that there's any, I did not take anything from Malfoy, any characteristics or anything. I just wanted her to have her own rival. That's why I decided to give Semra a daughter that hates Barbara, which was Blessing. Although their own kind of hatred did not really last long, they just fought once. That's because, as I said, I don't really like, all these, there's something you're supposed to tell this person, but you don't not tell the person, and is when the person later find out, will not hit you for not telling the person, for not telling him or her, will not cause a real problem. You get, or this romance film, just this is something that you just tell this girl something, but you not tell the girl. You and her will now have to break up. They now come back together because of lack of communication. You get. That's why after the fought, tell me that this kind of thing, that just little apology can make them not be enemies forever. You get. So I just made them apologize, and that's how they stopped being rival. But when I first created the idea of having best for that, later Barbara have her own Malfoy. So number 28, which is going to be the final one, that's the entire Fantastic Beasts plot. That's such helping the zookeeper find his Fantastic Beast came from Fantastic Beasts and the thing Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find It, which was chapter movie 1 in the Fantastic Beasts series. I don't know if you count as Harry Potter too, but I'm counting this as Harry Potter. You get, which is that's the other. I've already told you guys now that the other aspect of that Where to Find Them chapter 3 was from Naruto's Land of Waves, but that's even some of the fantastic beasts we're going to find, from Demiguise to Nifla, are all fantastic beasts that was from that distance. Even that spider was from Harry Potter, which was Hagrid's spider friend, I think. I've forgotten the exact book. So as the final distance, to just address some things that you might also think that came from Harry Potter but did not come from Harry Potter, is the idea of the Barbara Occult being an orphan and the orphanage. That one did not come from Harry Potter. That one actually came from Queen's Gambit. That's from Betamon being an orphan and later adopted. The magic system, I did not study that. I got the one from Harry Potter, but I did not get the magic system. The magic system, most of it was my own idea, but at the same time I studied kind of Naruto's chakra magic system. You can see it from, we have in Naruto, we have like chakra networks. In this we also have truth veins, which is kind of similar. So I was the like the whole branches of magic, like enchantment, potions, elemental magic. Other one is my own, but how to perform magic, like essence fragmentation, essence transformation, word transformation. That one is not said in Naruto, but it's kind of me looking at Naruto's magic system, you get, and saying, okay, this is what this thing would be like when you see a shinobi can spit out stone. I say, okay, this is what this is be. Transforming his chakra into the stone, and that's where. But I'm not talking about Naruto now. We'll do that one another day. And then this thing, the situation surrounding Barbara Occult's birth, where it's just her mother was giving birth and Sadagra has attacked and Shemra. That wasn't from Harry Potter. That was also from Naruto. This person Obito attacking. The Red Death betrayal was also from Naruto, not from. You might think it's from Peter Pettigrew attacking, but Peter Pettigrew betraying them. Peter Pettigrew was James Potter's friend, betraying them, but it wasn't. It was from also Obito. Okay, that Dwarfmon rank, this of wizards are above, sorcerers are above, mages, sage, spellcasters. That one was also from Harry Potter, obviously. That was my own original idea. The flying carpet was also not Harry Potter, was Aladdin. There are many things that I've forgotten that I got idea from Harry Potter yet, but they are mostly in chapter 1 to 3. the things that are not from chapter 1 to 3 that are another chapter are things that are like foundational. You get like the wand or the, well, after chapter like 1 to 3, by then I've already like gotten enough confidence and completely plotted my book and known what I wanted from my book, you get. So there was no need for me to continue reading, but obviously it shaped the way I think about writing, the way I write, you get. So I think that's it. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel, so share. And you can, if you haven't read Barbara Occult and the Breath of Life, you can go and read it on my website tuva.com. Thank you.